Hello, hello. I'm Katrina Walker. We're going to get started with our live broadcast here in just a moment. Just checking in to make sure that everything is working. So just to remind you that if you have any questions, I'm looking at my screen here. If you have any questions, feel free to write those into the chat so that I can answer them for you, and we can just be able to do all that good stuff that we can do on a live broadcast. So, alrighty, well, according to my computer and my watch and everything else, it is 11 o'clock. So let's get started. So hello, I am Clever Tool School instructor Katrina Walker. Obviously a little tongue-tied this morning, but it's all good. Now, today we are approaching Halloween, right? We're at that halfway point in October. Everyone's getting excited, getting their costumes made. But of course, what might possibly be missing? Well, you might need a personalized trick-or-treat bag, right? Yay. So this is going to be our fun project for today. It's being a sewing industry professional, it's always kind of fun for me and a bit of a stretch from my creative juices to do things that don't actually use sewing. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to create your own personalized tote bags without actually having to sew. Now, if you want to sew them, you can as well, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to not have to sew if you want to just throw it together, right? So here we go. So some products we're going to be using today. So the big star of the show today, or at least one of them, is our awesome Design Pro applique mat. Now, this is the actual mat, so that's not very exciting to show you a box. But the actual mat, this is really cool. It's a silicone mat, so it protects it's made especially doing applique. So this protects your work surface from any kind of goo getting onto your ironing board cover, because I don't know about you, but I certainly get sticky stuff fused to my ironing board cover, and then I have to eventually replace it. So this is specifically for working with fusibles, to do appliques, to help protect your ironing board. And because it's silicone, it's really grippy. It's super grippy. So you can't iron on this. So I was actually ironing some fabric, or pressing the fabric I'm going to use as an example, and I went to move the iron, and it's like, oh yeah, you have to press with it. You're not ironing with it, because it's really grippy. It's pretty darn awesome, actually. This is the Design Pro applique mat. Now it also comes with a nice non-stick pressing sheet. So if you're extra talented, I know I have accidentally, especially if it's just fusible web, it's sometimes hard to tell which side is the one with the webbing. I have accidentally fused things to my iron very briefly before, so non-stick pressing sheet really helps. And both of these are really translucent, so you can see through them. So you can see what you're actually doing. So like this mat, on this applique mat, if you have a design that you're building an applique onto, you can actually set that on your pressing surface under the mat and see what you're doing as you place your pieces. It's really awesome. So again, it comes with both these things. So the silicone grippy mat and the non-stick pressing sheet. All right, so I'm also going to be using, of course, so ingredients first, Wonder Fuse. So Wonder Fuse is your basic paper-backed fusible web, and that's definitely the other star of the show. So how this works, so I already showed you our awesome grippy applique mat and the non-stick pressing sheet. So let me just show you how this works. So if you've never used this before, I know a lot of you probably have used these before, but so the Wonder Fuse applique comes in a 9x8 sheet. So it comes in a fusible sheet, and it comes in a package of 10. So there's 10 sheets per package here. 10 sheets in a package, 9x8. And so what you're going to do, so this is a 9x8 sheet, so I have my fabric already cut to those dimensions. It really couldn't be easier. So you just want to put your fabric down, so it covers that fusible web. So here it is behind it, of course, and this is, of course, the fusible side is facing the fabric. So you can see there's kind of some texture to it. It's kind of shiny. I'm not sure if the camera can pick up the shiny, but anyway, it's pretty easy to see which is the paper side and which is the web side. So I'm just going to place my nonstick mat just in case. You can kind of on camera kind of see the edges of this, but in case I accidentally had sticky stuff sticking up, that's going to prevent it from showing. And then I'm just going to go ahead and apply some heat and go ahead and fuse that fabric to my fabric. So fuse the fabric to my fabric. Oh, that doesn't make sense. Fuse the fabric to that paper backed web. All right, so I just like to use some heat. Now I'm doing a large piece, so I'm using a regular iron, but you can use if you're working in a really tight quarters, especially once the pieces are cut out, sometimes I'll get out my Clover mini iron, and I'll show you what that looks like a little later. But just want to make sure you have nice coverage, even heat. So make sure that that fabric the glue has a chance to melt. So that's how it works. It melts onto the fabric. So those are a nonstick pressing sheet. And so now the paper is stuck to the back of the fabric. So the fusible web it's stuck on there. And this is when you can go ahead and you can draw your designs on it. Now, I of course went to reach for a heat erasable marker, which probably would not work very well. So I'm just going to use my my Clover air pen, but wait, that's a white pen. Never mind. See, I told you I was just having one of those mornings, right? So I'm going to actually put this on something that's cooler. It's still a little bit warm for forgot to grab a non-heat erasable pen. But once you have your paper already fused to your fabric, then you can simply, draw whatever designs you want onto it to create your applique. You can use stencils, templates. Now for this project, because we're dealing with lettering, remember that you'll want to put the letters on backwards. So T will look the same, but make sure that when you're doing lettering onto the back of your fusible web, so you can see where to cut it out, make sure that you do all your lettering backwards. So for this project, there's a lot of lettering, and that's what I chose as a design. So I cheated, and I did use a cutting machine to go ahead and cut out my pieces. So if you have a cutting machine, what I do is I go ahead and I fuse my my Wonder Fuse to my fabric, and then go ahead and cut it in my cutting machine. So with it already fused, and that just works so slick. In fact, the only hard part is, of course, you do have to peel the paper off all your little pieces afterward, but it works great. And I will tell you that I tried both ways. So I tried fusing it, I tried cutting it fabric side up and cutting it web side up, and you can do it either way. So when I did my lettering, I actually chose to try cutting it with the web side up, and so I had to reverse my lettering. If you cut fabric side up, and I really didn't see a big difference. I think maybe it was a little bit cleaner cutting with the fabric side up. It's hard to say, but anyhow, but when if you cut fabric side up, then you can go ahead and just cut it out normal. You don't have to reverse your lettering. You can use it just in the normal way. Okay, so just some things to think about if you're going to do this project. If you're using lettering, make sure, of course, that it's going to be so that you can read it when all is said and done. So whether you go ahead and trace your own designs on, or you use a cutting machine, it doesn't really matter. You can go either way. Some of us are just really spoiled and have all the toys. What can I say? All right. So again, for those of you who are just tuning in, just make sure I've got my project lined up. This is what I'm going to be creating today. So this is the little trick-or-treat bag. And so the trick-or-treat bag, very straightforward. So I have all my pieces cut out, so they're all fused onto my Wonder Fuse. And now I just have to put it all together. All right, so luckily these cotton tote bags are very easy to find. So this is just a plain black cotton tote bag. You can buy it at craft stores. You can buy them online, lots of places. Now for laying out my lettering, so I'm going to actually start with writing, the trick or treat. I'm going to start by doing my trick or treat. And I do like to go ahead and use a ruler for that. And I'm more of a person who's, I think you're either a perfectionist or you want it to be perfect, you want it to be charming. I'm more of a charming person in the sense that perfection's not really in my worldview, so I don't really bother to go there. I like things to be very well done. But for something like this, if it's a little bit more on the side of charming, it's okay. But I do like to put down a ruler because it gives me just a little bit straighter visual, well, a much straighter visual, but it also gives me the chance to space my lettering more evenly. So I think when I did my previous one, I came in, I started about 1.25 inches from each edge is where I started my lettering. So of course you want to make sure that you know which side has the fusible on it. And so knowing that I started about 1.25 inches in, I'm just going to use that as a guideline. Now I could chalk a line. I could use my hair marker and make a groove. This is a hair marker, and you can use it to make a temporary line that's just a crease in the fabric. I use this a lot for my marking, but I'm just going to leave the ruler here because it just makes it a little bit easier for me visually to space my lettering, at least to make sure that I'm kind of getting it starting and stopping from equal ends of my project here. And then I really just start to lay it down. Just whatever's pleasing. I know it will all fit, but whatever's pleasing to your eye. Again, this is a trick-or-treat bag. This is not anything that's, you're probably going to enter into a competition or something. And, just because we're doing a trick-or-treat bag doesn't mean that you can't obviously apply this same kind of project to any occasion, any season, any kind of gift. If you're just going to, instead of putting a gift in paper, you want to make a reusable bag. You can use the same, obviously, technique to create a unique gift bag for any occasion. So it doesn't have to be Halloween. It can be a lot of different things. I'm just checking my ruler. It's like, am I really level there? Again, I'm not worried about it being absolutely perfect. But I like to kind of start from each end and work my way towards the middle. So I have all my letters laid out in the words. And just work toward the center. And of course you can play around with this as much as you want. So let's see, I've got 1, 2, about 3.5. So that's like 1 3/4, right? So let's see, 1 3/4, 1. For the halfway point. So if I have about 1 inch on either side, that's about evenly spaced. Again, not that I'm trying to be absolutely perfect, but it's nice if it looks reasonably well done. I don't think my granddaughter's going to care. She's only a year and a half old. So there's our trick or treat. So the nice thing about having a sheet to lay over this, again, it's going to just keep everything from shifting around. So if you just lay down your nonstick sheet carefully, then you can just kind of see the outline of the letters, but I can see it very clearly. But that really gives you a chance to make sure that nothing's shifting around. Well, you go ahead and to restart my iron, but you go ahead and get that fused in place. So just give it a visual. I think my O's, I've turned my O just a tiny bit, but I'm just going to leave it. Again, we're going for charming here. And of course, I don't have to worry. I can move my iron, slide my iron without worrying about sliding my letters out of place. And then I say, again, I'm one of those people that once in a while, if it's a letter that looks the same front and back, I'll accidentally put it down upside down, and at least it's going to stick to my non-stick sheet, and I can just peel it off and flip it over and use it. You really do want a non-stick press cloth when you're working with fusibles. It does really help to prevent unfortunate accidents. So there's my trick or treat. Alrighty, so let's do some more decoration. Now I decided, you can play around with this obviously. It's a tote bag, right? So I did play around. I cut out a bat, and I cut out a pumpkin, and I also cut out more letters that say boo. So on the other side, what I chose to do was I put my pumpkin here, and then I have my boo and my bat down at the bottom. I think I'm going to change it up a little bit for the other side here. So I'm just going to move up the trick or treat portion. So here's the paper, see, is still on here, so I just peel that off. So you can tell where the fusible is. It's a little shiny. But I kind of like the bat. Bats are good bug catchers. I like bats. And of course there's my happy jack-o'-lantern, so I'll just take the paper off that. I like that this web, there's some paper-backed fusibles that they come off really easy. The paper almost comes off too easy, so it can get kind of sloppy. So I really appreciate that this paper stays put until I really do want to peel it off. So I think that looks good to me visually. So let's go ahead and stick that down. So again, I'm just going to get my non-stick pressing sheet, set her down. There's lots of clip art you can find for these kinds of designs. I was able to find these outlines from other projects for my cutting machine and just adapt them, but there's lots of clip art that you can use to trace on your own. You don't have to have a fancy cutting machine. You can just trace your own designs. And no one will know, even if you have to draw it a couple times, no one's going to see that on the paper when it's all said and done. They'll just see what you cut out of the fabric. So it's really forgiving. It's a very, very forgiving project. And of course, it's super cute. Okay, so that's stuck in place. A little bit, looks like an edge there. So sometimes I do like to check because I'm not always consistent with my iron. And I have a nice clean cut. Oops. So I'm just going to go ahead and give that a little bit more, maybe give it a little steam. Mostly with my nonstick cutting mat, I want to just make sure that everything's going to stay put. And then if I want to give a little steam press to ensure that everything's really glued down, then I can do that. And when you're pressing this, so I'm using a regular iron, but sometimes if you're doing fusible web in a really tight spot, I do have a couple of tools you might want to know about. One is the mini iron. I mentioned this already. The mini iron comes with a lot of different tips. Now this is the large kind of ironing style tip. Now this isn't on, obviously, or I'd be burning myself. It does come with, thankfully, a rest to keep you from, to help with safety and a safety guard on it. But be careful with these. They do get really hot. It does have a thermostat on it. But if you're working with an applique that is in really tight areas, I like to use this, and then I like to use, this is called the Hold It Precision Stiletto. And the Hold It Precision Stiletto has a silicone end on it. And so instead of getting your fingers right down there next to the hot object, you can use the grippy silicone end on your Hold It Precision Stiletto to hold things in place, and then you can use your mini iron to get in there in those tight spots. So if you do a lot of really detailed fusing for doing, no-sew applique, or even if you do stitch it afterwards, these are really good tools when you have those tight spots. This isn't anything tight, so I'm just using a regular iron, but I wanted to point this out. And actually the Hold It Precision Stiletto, if you're a big lavender or purple fan, there's now a limited edition purple version, so you can go to clover-usa.com and get your purple Hold It Precision Stiletto. I have my good old, my blue one I've been using for years, but anyhow, so for those tight spots, these are a couple tools I really recommend. The Hold It Precision Stiletto with the heat end on it. This is great for like doing narrow hems and things. Just anytime you need to keep your fingers out away from the heat, which is pretty much always. And then again, your mini iron for those tight spots. So just want to make sure to mention those because they can be really handy. Okay, so I have my lettering, my main lettering, my trick or treat, and then I have my pumpkin and my bat. Again, this is a little different than what I chose to do on my other side. On my other side, I put the trick or treat in the same spot, but I put my pumpkin and my bat a little different. I actually almost missed my tote bag with the bat. I don't know what I was thinking. But I went ahead and moved my bat to a different location on the other side. And that's the fun of it. You can make each side totally different. So I still want my boo, but I think this time I'm going to put my boo in a different spot too. And the boo, I'm really going to go for charming here. So I'm not going to use a ruler or anything. I'm just going to eyeball it so that it looks pleasing to my eye. And of course my little exclamation point here. Boo! So again, look out. There's a lot of free clip art out there that has these awesome Halloween shapes, and you can go ahead and decorate these up. And again, remember, don't just think about this for Halloween. This is for decorating gift bags for any occasion, right? So I kind of like that. I think that looks cute. Well, maybe down just a titch, but there we go. I like that. We're going to go with that. All right, so I'm going to put down my nonstick and go ahead and give that a press. Hold it in place. And like I said, I mostly like my nonstick just to get it all initially tacked down. I'm going to give it a shot of steam here after I get it stuck, just to make sure it's really on there. Okay, so it's glued on, but I like to give just a little shot of steam. Yay! Okay. Alrighty, so you know what? It's that easy. That's all there is to it. So here is my new side to my fun no-sew trick-or-treat customized bag. So again, the stars of this show are the I always have to look at the Design Pro applique mat. I can remember applique mat, but remembering the Design Pro part is hard for me. The Design Pro applique mat, and that includes the silicone grippy mat and the nonstick pressing sheet together. We also use the Wonder Fuse too, and that comes in a package of 10, 9x8 pieces, the Wonder Fuse. And of course, I showed you the mini iron and the Hold It Precision Stiletto. But just think about, the fun things you can do with some fabric scraps and just a little bit of time, and you can whip out some really fun customized trick-or-treat bags. So I don't see any questions in the chat box, but if you have some, just let me know. But that is our little Halloween project for this month, the trick-or-treat, customized trick-or-treat bag. So a little fabric, little fusible, and a cheap tote bag, you are good to go. Alrighty, so I hope that you will give it a try, or for your next festive occasion, you can personalize a tote or a gift bag for someone to make their gift, or obviously their trick-or-treating, a little extra special. So remember, they also do make some glow-in-the-dark paints and fabrics and things too that would also be really, really fun. So obviously you can take it to a whole nother level and really dress it up and personalize it. So that's it for today. I am Clover Tool School instructor Katrina Walker from my studio in Spokane, Washington. And I hope you have a very happy Halloween if you celebrate Halloween. And we will see you in a couple months. Take care.